All right, so, I'm a big military history guy, right?
Yeah.
But today we're going to kind of put a spin on things.
Oh, okay.
We're diving deep into the Roman Empire,
Okay.
but through the lens of the rise of Christianity.
Interesting.
It might seem like kind of a strange combo at first,
Yeah, it does a little bit.
but the spread of this new religion
Right.
fundamentally reshaped the Roman military.
Uh-huh.
And in a way, the entire trajectory of European history.
I mean, that's huge.
Yeah, so how did a change in religion
Right.
actually have an impact on the legions themselves? I mean, what kind of sources do we even have to work with today?
Well, we have got a pretty interesting mix, actually.
Okay.
Historical accounts, theological writings, even some archaeological evidence,
Wow.
all shedding light on this fascinating period.
Yeah.
Our mission today, I think,
Yeah.
is to trace how Christianity, starting as this persecuted sect,
Right.
eventually rose to become this dominant force in the Roman world. And what's really interesting is we're going to see how that played out
Right.
on the battlefields and within the ranks of the Roman army.
Let's talk about the actual nuts and bolts of how the Roman military.
Absolutely.
See it. This isn't just about, emperors converting. It's about the everyday soldier.
Right, the rank and file.
And how their beliefs impacted how they fought.
Exactly. How their beliefs impacted their fighting. Exactly.
Let's start with the early days of Christianity in Rome.
Okay.
I mean, you've got a society that's completely steeped in polytheism.
Oh, yeah. Gods for everything.
Dogs for everything, right?
Yeah.
And then Christianity comes along with its radically different concept of one God.
One God, yeah.
So how did Roman emperors, who often consider themselves divine, how they react to this new faith?
Oh, they were not happy.
Yeah.
Emperors like Diocletian saw Christianity as a direct threat to their power.
Makes sense.
I mean, their authority was completely intertwined with the Roman pantheon.
Right. And these Christians are saying, nope, there's only one true God.
So that's a direct challenge.
Huge challenge to the entire imperial order.
Wow.
And Diocletian even goes as far as to declare himself a god,
What?
essentially Jupiter on Earth.
Oh, wow. Talk about an ego trip.
Yeah.
So how did this tension play out in the military?
Well,
I mean, were Christian soldiers forced to worship the emperor?
Diocletian and other emperors,
Yeah.
they tried to purge Christians from the army.
Really?
They saw them as unreliable and potentially subversive.
Oh, wow.
They instituted loyalty tests, demanding soldiers make sacrifices to the Roman gods.
I see.
But this persecution kind of backfired.
Oh, so.
It actually ended up strengthening early Christian communities.
Within the ranks, exactly.
So shared hardship forged a stronger sense of identity and purpose.
Absolutely. Imagine being a Roman soldier in those times.
Yeah.
You've got all these gods to please.
Right.
Confusing rituals.
Yeah. And then the empire is hit by plagues, barbarian invasions.
It's a mess.
Who do you turn to?
Right.
Christianity offered something totally different.
Yeah.
One God, a clear path to salvation,
Okay.
comfort in the face of all this suffering and death.
And I mean, a lot of these soldiers are facing death every day.
Every day. This
Yeah.
resonated deeply with soldiers.
Yeah.
Many of them came from the lower classes,
Right.
and they were looking for meaning in this chaotic world.
I mean, it wasn't just the afterlife promises, though, was it?
No, not at all.
The sources mentioned that the simplicity of one God
Right.
versus this complexity of the Roman pantheon became really appealing in times of crisis.
Absolutely. No more hedging your bets.
Right.
Just faith in this one all-powerful being.
So this clarity, this simplicity
Yeah.
appealed to soldiers who were, constantly facing death.
Right. They didn't need a whole pantheon of gods.
Right.
They needed a faith that could sustain them
Yeah.
through the horrors of war.
So Christianity's gaining traction within the army,
It is.
despite this persecution.
Yeah.
But how does it go from this marginalized sect
Right.
to a force that could actually influence military policy?
That's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
We need to look at the strategic evolution of the early church.
Okay.
One pivotal moment was the decision to embrace universal salvation,
Okay.
largely influenced by St. Paul. This opened up Christianity to non-Jews,
Right.
expanding its potential reach enormously,
Yeah.
including within the military.
So no longer just a Jewish sect,
Exactly.
but a faith for everyone.
For everyone.
And I could see how that would be appealing to soldiers
Oh, yeah.
from all corners of the empire.
Absolutely.
So it becomes a unifying force.
It does.
Yeah.
And the church didn't just stop there, though, did they?
No, they didn't.
They actively worked to integrate into Roman society.
They did.
Including the military. So they're playing the long game here.
Not just surviving, but thriving.
Yeah.
Within the existing system.
Right.
The Gospel of Matthew is a great example of that.
It is.
This emphasis on render unto Caesar what is Caesar's.
Right.
It's basically saying, hey, we can be good Roman citizens and good Christians.
Exactly.
That reassured Roman authorities.
Right.
And it opened the door for more Christians to serve openly in the army.
It did.
So they're not calling for rebellion.
Yeah.
They're not, saying let's overthrow the emperor. They're emphasizing loyalty.
Right.
And service.
Yeah.
Which are obviously important qualities.
Very important.
In a soldier.
Yeah.
And then you have figures like Tertullian.
Oh, yeah.
Who argued that Christians actually make better soldiers.
Because of their faith.
Because of their faith.
Yeah, he claimed they were more disciplined, more courageous, and less likely to desert because they believed they were fighting for a higher cause.
That's a pretty bold claim.
It is.
Were Roman military leaders buying into this?
It's hard to say for sure.
Yeah.
But we know that despite Diocletian's attempts to exclude them, Christians were becoming increasingly accepted.
Within the ranks.
In the ranks, yeah.
Yeah.
Their reputation for discipline and courage, coupled with their growing numbers, made them a force to be reckoned with.
And this is all happening before Constantine.
That's right.
Comes on the scene.
Yes. This groundwork is essential to understanding why Constantine's embrace of Christianity was such a pivotal moment.
Okay.
The Roman military was already being transformed from within by this new faith.
So it wasn't just a top-down imposition
It wasn't.
By an emperor.
Not at all.
So the seeds of change had already been planted.
They were there.
This makes me even more curious about how Constantine's conversion impacted the army.
Yeah.
I guess that's where we pick up.
That's where we'll pick up.
In part 2.
Next time.
All right. See you then.
Sounds good. Welcome back. Last time we left off with Christianity.
Yeah.
Gaining a foothold within the Roman army.
Right.
Even before Constantine's rise to power. Now let's dive into how his conversion dramatically accelerated this transformation.
Okay.
And really just reshaped the landscape of European warfare.
All right, I'm ready.
Okay.
So everyone knows about Constantine legalizing Christianity with the Edict of Milan in 313 AD.
Yep.
But I'm curious about how this actually impacted the military specifically.
Well, for starters, it created this huge shift in the balance of power.
How so?
Before you had Christians serving, despite facing discrimination and persecution.
Right.
But now they were actively encouraged to join the army.
Okay.
And their faith was no longer a barrier to advancement.
So did this lead to like a flood of new recruits? Did the Roman army suddenly become predominantly Christian?
It wasn't quite that overnight, but the sources definitely suggest a significant influx. Okay.
Of Christian recruits.
Yeah.
In the decades following Constantine's conversion.
I see.
This was partly due to the removal of barriers.
Right.
But also because of the changing perception of military service within the Christian community.
So instead of being seen as incompatible with faith, serving in the army became almost like a holy duty.
Precisely.
Interesting.
Church leaders started portraying military service as a way to defend Christendom, to spread the faith, and even to achieve personal salvation through acts of valor.
So this is a far cry from the pacifist tendencies
of
early Christianity.
Yeah, it's a pretty radical shift.
So did this change how Roman armies actually fought? Did they become more or less ruthless?
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
On one hand, you have some Christian teachings like turning the other cheek that seem completely at odds with the brutality of war.
Right.
On the other hand, the belief in a just war.
Yeah. Fought on behalf of God.
Yeah.
Could actually make soldiers even more zealous and determined.
So it could cut both ways.
It really could.
Are there any specific battles or military campaigns where we actually see this Christian influence playing out?
Well, look at Constantine's own military victories.
Okay.
He famously attributed his victory at the Battle of Milvian Bridge in 312 AD to divine intervention.
I remember learning about that in history class.
Oh, yeah.
He claimed to have seen a vision of cross in the sky with the words, In this sign conquer.
In hoc signo vinces.
So he's using this victory,
right,
attributed to the Christian God, to legitimize his rule and rally support.
Exactly, and this sets a precedent for future emperors.
Okay.
Military success becomes increasingly intertwined with divine favor.
I see.
Christian symbols start appearing on banners, shields, even the armor of Roman soldiers.
So the Roman army, once a symbol of pagan might, is gradually transforming into an army fighting under the banner of the Christian cross.
And this transformation wasn't limited to symbols.
Okay.
Constantine actively promoted Christian soldiers within the ranks.
Really?
He appointed them to key positions, even creating elite units.
Wow.
Composed entirely of Christian troops.
So did this create any tension or resentment within the army?
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
What about the soldiers who remained loyal to the old Roman gods? There were definitely pockets of resistance.
And that makes sense.
Some saw this as a betrayal of Roman traditions, a weakening of the army's martial spirit. Others resented the preferential treatment given to Christian soldiers.
So Constantine's decision, while solidifying his power and winning over many, also sowed the seeds of future division and conflict within the empire.
Absolutely. And this tension only grew as Constantine made another momentous decision.
Okay, what's that?
He decided to move the capital of the Roman Empire eastward to a city strategically situated on the Bosporus Strait. Constantinople.
Known today as Istanbul.
That's right.
But why was this move so significant, especially from a military perspective?
Well, Byzantium, as it was originally called, had been a strategically important city for centuries, controlling access to the Black Sea and serving as this vital trade hub connecting Europe and Asia. But Constantine saw its potential for more than just trade.
So he's thinking about defense.
Yeah.
About projecting power.
Absolutely.
About securing the empire's eastern frontiers.
Exactly. Constantinople was far more defensible than Rome.
Okay.
Protected by water on 3 sides. And easily fortified on land.
Makes sense.
This allowed Constantine to consolidate his military forces and focus on repelling threats from the east, particularly the Persians.
So this move had huge implications for the empire's military strategy.
It did. It did.
Shifting the center of gravity eastward, away from the traditional heartland of Roman power.
And this shift wouldn't have been possible without the growing influence of Christianity.
Okay, interesting.
Constantine envisioned Constantinople as a Christian city, a new Rome for a new era.
Wow.
A bastion of faith against the forces of paganism.
So it sounds like he was almost creating a Christian empire within the Roman Empire, using the military to defend and expand this new realm.
And this had a profound impact on the course of European history.
How so?
Constantinople's strategic importance allowed the Eastern Roman Empire, later known as the Byzantine Empire, to survive for centuries after the fall of Rome in the West.
So this one decision, fueled in part by Constantine's embrace of Christianity, had ripple effects that lasted for centuries.
They did.
It's amazing how a religious shift could have such profound consequences.
I know, it's really incredible.
For military strategy and the very map of Europe.
And there's another aspect of Constantine's reign that we need to explore. His decision to convene the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD.
Okay, the Council of Nicaea, that's where they hammered out the doctrine of the Trinity.
That's right.
But how did this council, a gathering of bishops, impact the Roman army?
Well, it might seem like a purely theological matter. But remember, the lines between religion and politics were super blurred in the Roman world. By bringing together these bishops and achieving, or at least appearing to achieve, doctrinal unity, Constantine was creating this powerful tool for social control and military cohesion.
I see where you're going with this. A unified church with a clear set of beliefs could be used to rally support for the emperor and his armies.
Exactly. The Nicene Creed, which emerged from the council, became a touchstone of orthodoxy, a way to distinguish true believers from heretics. And this had a direct impact on the military.
So soldiers who adhered to the Nicene Creed were seen as more reliable, more loyal, more likely to follow orders.
You got it. Constantine could now present himself not just as a military leader, but a defender of the faith.
A defender of the faith. Okay.
Divinely appointed to uphold Christian orthodoxy.
So this gave him immense moral authority.
It did.
Both within the army and throughout the empire.
And it's important to remember, this wasn't just about cynical manipulation.
Right.
Constantine genuinely believed in Christianity.
Yeah.
And he saw the church as this vital partner in governing his vast and increasingly diverse empire.
So it's a complex mix of faith.
Oh, yeah.
Politics and military strategy.
Absolutely.
Constantine wasn't just converting to a new religion. He was forging a new kind of empire.
Yeah.
One where the army fought under the banner of Christ.
That's right.
This raises a question, though. How did this impact the long-term stability of the Roman military and ultimately the fate of the empire itself?
That's a question for our final part.
Oh.
Join us next time as we explore the lasting legacy of Constantine's decisions and how the Christianization of the Roman military ultimately contributed to the empire's decline and fall.
Okay, so we've been talking about how Constantine's embrace of Christianity really reshaped the Roman military.
It did.
From the influx of new recruits to the shift in military strategy with the founding of Constantinople. But you hinted last time that this Christianization also played a role.
I did.
In the empire's eventual decline.
Yeah.
Which seems counterintuitive.
Right.
Didn't a unified faith make the empire stronger?
Well, it's complicated.
Okay.
The sources offer some interesting clues.
Right.
Constantine's policies initially brought a sense of unity and purpose to the army. But over time, they may have inadvertently sown the seeds of weakness.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
What were some of these unintended consequences?
One key factor was the growing divide between the western and eastern halves of the empire.
Okay.
Remember, the West remained largely pagan for much longer, even after Constantine's conversion.
Yeah.
So this religious difference, coupled with political and economic tensions, created a rift that eventually became unbridgeable.
So the very unity that Constantine sought within the army through Christianity was undermined by the persistent divisions within the empire as a whole.
Exactly. And this division played out on the battlefields.
How so?
The Western Roman Empire, facing constant pressure from barbarian invasions, increasingly relied on mercenary troops, many of whom were not Christian, and had little loyalty to Rome.
So while the Eastern Roman army, centered in Constantinople, remained relatively strong and cohesive under a Christian banner, the West was struggling to maintain its military strength and unity.
That's the general trend, yeah.
Okay.
And there's another factor to consider.
Okay.
The changing nature of warfare itself.
Okay.
As Christianity became more entrenched within Roman society, there was a growing reluctance among some Christians to serve in the military.
Wait, but I thought we talked about how the church was encouraging military service, portraying it as like a holy duty.
Yes, but that early enthusiasm was tempered by the realities of war. And the pacifist undercurrents within Christian teachings.
I see.
Some church leaders began to question the morality of killing, even in the name of defending the empire.
So you have this internal conflict within Christianity itself.
Exactly.
Between the need to defend Christendom and the moral unease with violence.
And this played out in subtle but significant ways. Well, there were instances of Christian soldiers refusing to fight.
Oh, wow.
Or even deserting because of their religious convictions.
Interesting.
Now, this wasn't widespread, but it is a sign of the growing tension between Christian ideals and the demands of military service.
It sounds like the very faith that had initially invigorated the Roman army was now, in some ways, undermining its morale and effectiveness.
It's a complex interplay of factors, but the evidence suggests that the Christianization of the Roman military, while initially a source of strength and unity, ultimately contributed to the long-term decline of the empire.
So this makes me think back to Constantine's decision to move the capital to Constantinople. Was that move, which seemed so strategically brilliant at the time, actually a sign of the empire's growing weakness?
That's a fascinating question. By shifting the focus eastward, Constantine essentially conceded that the Western Roman Empire was becoming increasingly difficult to defend. He was consolidating his power in a more secure location. But this also meant abandoning Rome itself to its fate.
So in a way, he was acknowledging the limits of Roman power,
Yeah.
even as he was trying to preserve it through his embrace of Christianity.
Perhaps. And the irony is that while the Eastern Roman Empire centered in Constantinople, flourished for centuries as a bastion of Christianity, the West fell prey to barbarian invasions. Its once mighty legions a shadow of their former selves.
So the rise of Christianity, which had such a profound impact on the Roman military,
I know,
ultimately played a role in the empire's demise.
It's a cautionary tale.
It is.
Reminding us that even the most powerful empires are not immune to the forces of change.
Right.
Both internal and external.
This has been a really incredible deep dive.
It has.
We started by exploring the impact of Christianity on the Roman military.
Right.
And we ended up tracing its influence on the very course of European history.
That's right.
It's a reminder that even seemingly minor shifts in belief can have profound and lasting consequences.
Absolutely. History is never a simple story of cause and effect.
Right.
It's this tapestry of interwoven threads.
Yeah.
Individual choices and historical forces, faith and power, all shaping the destiny of nations and civilizations.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us on this journey through the Roman Empire.
It's been fun.
We hope you've gained a new appreciation for the enduring legacy of this ancient civilization and for the complex role that religion played in its rise and fall.
Absolutely.